We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining me on the program is Commander G.J. Singh, Senior Defence Analyst. Also with us on the show is Major General P.K. Sehgal, Global and Strategic Defence Expert. Group Captain U.K. Devnath, former IAF and Defence Expert, also joins us on the program. And last but by no means the least, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, Defence Expert, is also joining us to talk about this. Well, in fact, let me start with you, Ali. Ajit Doval, just a few hours ago, went on to say that this is not a fluke. This is not something which has been deliberated upon by just the government. Every stakeholder, everyone who had a point to make, an addition to make, a service to in fact instill in this particular scheme, had a say in this. So for all those people who've been saying that this has been done in silos, it is not correct. This is what the National Security Advisor said, hailing the scheme and calling it the next step in securing India. Your thoughts, Ali?
Well, Vineet, I do not need the National Security Advisor to come out and clarify. I am as it is convinced. Without him having to come out and clarify, I am as it is convinced, because I personally believe and I feel genuinely from the bottom of my heart, because that this scheme, it should have been celebrated. I was expecting positive reaction that, wow, it's a dream come true scheme. And suddenly protests broke out, or people were opposing it. I was wondering why. Because I'm a short service officer myself, and I was highly motivated to join the army to experience 5 years and serve my country in my way. You are serving the country in your way. I want to serve the country in my way. I want to experience a life less extraordinary, which you can pay millions of rupees, but you cannot get to live anywhere else. So I always call it a very good scheme. Now, 2 nights back, Vineet, very interestingly, 10 of my seniors, veterans, called me up, who I served under. And we have this very good camaraderie. And they, in a way, in a loving way, they fired me up. And they said, we heard you speaking positively about the scheme and supporting it. Are you feeling all right? So I said, and then they gave me 10 points, how it would be detrimental for the organization, for the country and for the youth. I gave them 20 points each as to how it would be beneficial for our country first, for the organization and for the youth, which meant countering every single 10 point of theirs without Mr. Doval coming up and talking about it. No. From my own heart, what my convictions told me, right? Because I was convinced, so I could manage to convince them. I counted their 10 points, plus I put forward my own 10 points, and you know what happened in the end of it? They were all convinced. Now let me tell you a few apprehensions, common apprehensions amongst veterans. First, some veterans would say that...
Okay, we have a couple of veterans here. In fact, General Sehgal would want to definitely hear some of those points that you made. You made 20, you said, Ali. Why don't you list 5 in front of him?
Okay, first, General Sehgal, I just heard him say sometime back that, you know, he heard...
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, General Sehgal, I would want you to listen to him carefully and then respond. Go ahead, Ali.
First, I heard General Sehgal say that, you know, he heard some corporates say that we will make them market ready, corporate ready. Are they supposed to be combat ready or market ready? First, the military training itself is so gruesome, it will ensure that our boys are combat ready. Secondly, he mentioned also about where I didn't want to take General Sehgal, as you know, you mentioned, it's not about General Sehgal, it's not a personal argument, it's about understanding. I should be able to convince or make somebody else understand, or the other person should be able to make me...
Okay, go ahead, tell the points, go ahead, elaborate on the points, we don't have that kind of time.
Secondly, about the service, that 2.5 years, 3 years, Rifleman, Grenadier, Yogendra Singh Yadav, Paramveer Chakra, he was 19 years old, about a year's service, when he was awarded the highest award for gallantry. My own instructor from academy, who trained me, Paramveer Chakra, Rifleman Sanjay Singh, now Subedar Major Sanjay Singh, was 23 years old. My own course mate who I have trained with, Colonel D. Sri Ram Kumar, that time Major D. Sri Ram Kumar, we were posted together with the Assam Rifles. He got the highest award for gallantry, the Ashok Chakra. 4 years service, less than 4 years. Now, weren't we combat ready? Okay, secondly, about being corporate ready, the military training ensured us that we are battle ready. Secondly, they talk about loyalty. I do not know a single veteran, Vineet, a single short service officer who went ahead and joined the Naxals or the terrorists. No. In fact, my military knowledge, you are using it here on your channel. My military knowledge is used for positive aspects, not just me. I can name Major Gaurav Arya and a lot of short service officers whose knowledge is used in a positive way. Okay, thirdly, we need young blood to safeguard our borders, Vineet. A general will not stand at the border, at the Indo-Pak border or the line of actual control.
Correct.
It will be the youngsters.
Good point, Ali.
Who would be a 20-year-old man who would be standing and safeguarding our borders. Thirdly, if a person, do we talk about it after 4 years of law or after 5 years of engineering or 4 years of MBBS or BDS, after studying, that individual would be left unemployed in the lurch. I will tell you what the basic problem is, Reef. We have got too used to the fact that, okay, after the army you retire and you get a pension and you relax. But short service officers like me, we don't get a pension. We don't get any benefits.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me also rope in Mohd Ali Shah. Ali, I saw you wanted to respond to General Sehgal. He did in fact try and counter some of the points that you made in favor of AgniPath. He also is talking about long-term involvement and stay in the forces vis-a-vis a short-term module, a conscription module, or a short-term service commission. How do you respond to that?
With all my respect to General Sehgal, he's like a mentor and he's like a fatherly figure and a guide. He's senior to my father as well, and in fact my father and I are not on the same page as well. My father also was, he retired as the deputy chief, so we are not on the same page. But yes, maybe what General Sehgal said, that could be right, where I have limited knowledge of the army compared to him, yes, about being a short service officer, but that is what, as a youngster, that is what my understanding is. And right now, I think it's the time for you to take consideration of the emotions, the feeling, the sentiments of how the young men feel, rather than taking the sentiments of somebody who's retired, who is very, very senior, who has seen life from 30,000 feet above mean sea level. Instead of taking their considerations, their feelings into consideration, you have to take consideration of people who would be working hands-on, the 20-year-olds. Now, why are the 20-year-olds protesting? Why are they not happy for a dream come true scheme? Because they feel when they hear senior military personnel speak against it, they automatically get brainwashed first. Secondly, none of General Sehgal's points were convincing to me at all, and none of my points were convincing to him, sadly, both of us. But the beauty of the armed forces is, though we both might differ, but at the end of the day, we can sit together in the evening, we have a drink together, and we bond, and yet you look up to the senior as a senior. That is something, and there is a lot to learn from the senior. That's something, that's the beauty of the armed forces. Now, countering the point, again, Vineet, I would say that it is the youngsters who safeguard the borders. It is not about, it wasn't General Sehgal contradicting his own statement by saying, just throwing a few names here and there. Well, he threw the name of Dhar Singh Thapa and a few other names, Paramveer Chakra. Well, wasn't he doing names?
But Ali, all right, Ali, I guess that's also a sort of a consensus that we've been able to generate between the old and the new. We're going to dip into a short break. Would like to thank all my guests for being a part of this wonderful conversation.